So I've been thinking lately, and I've decided that I really hate my computer workspace. Now this is the desk in my studio where my workstation is, and it's where I do a lot of different things. But I don't really feel like this is a good workspace for doing all the activities that I do. I do everything from like building CAD parts and like doing circuit diagrams and some of the really nitty-gritty kind of engineering and design tasks. And then I'll turn around and make prototypes. So then my machine has to kind of pivot away from CAD and start running laser cutters, 3D printers, all that stuff. And then at the same time, kind of while I'm doing that, I'm documenting things. So my day job is working in commercial space, and I don't really get a lot of ability to document my work publicly. Most of it is, really guarded intellectual property. And the opportunity is really cool on these side projects to be able to take a lot of photos and videos and kind of show what I'm working on. So I kind of have to do that simultaneously. And then finally, I have to turn all of that content that I create into actual videos and actual pictures. So it's a lot of Adobe Suite with working in like Premiere Pro and editing videos and doing all of those tasks. And normally, like a video editor is going to have a workspace that's specifically designed for video editing, or an engineer is going to have a workspace designed for CAD. There's not many of those people that are doing the engineering, and they're doing the videos, and they're documenting it at the same time. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish, and I haven't ever really been able to do it very well. So basically, I've really kind of focused for the last 8 months on how to rework my workspace into a way that will really allow me to do all of that work really kind of beautifully, really seamlessly in a really awesome, fun kind of digital workspace. So I've got something together. I've compiled all sorts of new gear, new software, and kind of new ways of doing things, and I've got a really cool system. I wouldn't say it's finished. I don't think it's ever going to be finished. I think it's one of those things that's always going to evolve. But for me, this is the best it's ever been. So what I want to do now is I want to do some quick flybys and kind of show you some of the surface capabilities of like what this thing can do and what it looks like. And then we'll kind of get into more detail about some of the gear that I chose and what it does, and essentially like why I've got it and why it's there and how it helps me accomplish my goals. So let's go do that, and I will see you in a minute. Okay, so that's my workstation. I'm pretty pumped about it. I think it's been the best workstation essentially that I've ever had. I think everything's really streamlined. I wanted to spend the last little bit of time talking about some of the key pieces of hardware and why I chose them and what they do to kind of make my process better. Looking down at my my work surface here, I'm sure you noticed my tiny 60% keyboard. So this is a mechanical keyboard, one of those super clicky ones. It's a little custom thing that I built. It essentially acts as keys, or gets rid of keys that I don't really use. So like the numeric pad, I wasn't a big user of that. So that's all kind of gone. So I've got this nice kind of streamlined keyboard that only has the buttons that I pretty much use all the time. What that means is that there's added space around for me to add a 3D mouse. So this mouse allows me to basically navigate CAD parts and kind of move them around. So one hand would go on my trackball, which is my mouse of choice,
and then one would go on my 3D mouse, and then the 3D mouse would basically allow me to navigate through the CAD file, and then I could click buttons and tools using my mouse. It also has a bunch of really cool programmable buttons, so like the big features that I use, I can kind of map them to my 3D mouse, like extrude and things like that, and then I can access them really quick. I don't know if you saw too, I have a video editing board. Essentially, this is like a keyboard, but it's got kind of knobs and switches and buttons, and that allows me to program whatever I want from like Adobe Premiere Pro to that board, so I can essentially edit video without a need for my keyboard, and often, no need for my mouse. So that's really cool. So instead of going with the big crazy keyboards and real crazy mice, I've essentially elected to have peripherals that are catered to video editing and catered to CAD design. And basically I can just move them around my desk, so if I'm like doing video editing, I'll just push my keyboard up to the top and then pull the video editing board down, or I put the video editing board away and just have my CAD peripherals. So that's what I did. I kind of targeted that, and I have plenty of desk space to support all those accessories. The other thing that I really talked a lot about was doing documentation. I think what really makes a good video is really good lighting, and lighting can be tricky. There's a lot of form factors out there. There's a lot of different types of light stands and things, and that can make it difficult. So a lot of times when you're lighting a scenario, it's a lot of experimentation and put this here. So what I did was I grabbed some lights, and I figured out what looked good and what locations look good, and then I permanently mounted them. So I've got a really cool photography light tube made by a company called Quasar Science, and it's tuned specifically so that you don't get any flicker when you're filming video. Certain lights, certain LED lights, they don't flicker to the human eye, but they will to a camera lens. So I've got all photography grade equipment, which is really nice. So that's mounted as my key light, that light tube, and it's just a white, a kind of cool balanced light. And it's mounted on my monitor to the left of me, and it provides light to about 75% of my face here. I've got a little remote, so it's kind of cool. I can dim it down, so if I want like a moodier kind of light, I could totally do that. Or if I'm kind of more professional, I could get in and fully light myself. But I have that option, but I don't really have to do a lot of experimenting with where to position it, because its position is kind of set in stone. You'll notice there's a little bit of my face that's not fully lit, and what I did there to kind of give my videos some kind of visual interest is I have an RGB ring light, and RGB means basically that the light can be any color. So it's targeted at this side of my face. So if I were to dim down a little bit and I want to give my video some visual interest, I can change this to something like purple, and you can see a significant portion of my face is now purple. Or I can go red, and it essentially changes the feeling and look of my video. So I like having these lights permanently mounted, but I still like having some options to kind of dial in the look and the feel of my video. The other thing that I think really adds to a really dynamic and interesting video is different camera angles. So many videos are filmed with one camera, and that can be perfectly fine, in certain situations. But I like the idea of being able to flip to a bunch of different things without having to physically move the camera. So you can see here, I've got a Sony mirrorless with a 24mm f1.4 lens. So what that basically means is that I'm really in good focus, and like the back of me is nice and blurry. So it's a really good, I call that bokeh, but it's a really good kind of look for videos like I do. So I've got that permanently mounted. Next to it, I have a high resolution microphone so that I can get really decent audio. And it's on an articulating arm, so I can kind of move it around the desk, or if I'm like over to the right or to the left, or forward or back, I can kind of manipulate that microphone. And then I have a little webcam next to it. So I've got this really nice Sony camera there, and it's connected to a video capture card. So it's basically putting video directly onto my computer. But sometimes I want to take that really nice camera and I want to go, film some shots around my studio or something. So I've got a quick disconnect. I can take that camera with me, But at the same time, the 1080p webcam is still there to kind of pick up the slack. So I'm not losing my ability to do videos, because the whole thing is that at all times I want to be able to sit down and press record and be able to record something. I've got a camera to the right of me, or at least a mount, attached to an articulating arm, so I can change that camera out. I've got a 360 camera or GoPro, webcams, whatever, and I can put that on the mount, and then the mount can reach basically any part of my desk. So if I want to assemble something or I want to build something, I can just move that mount right over that area, and I can film that without having to mess with my mounted cameras like the Sony and the webcam. So that makes it really cool. One of my favorite things that I did was I put this. It's essentially a macro pad. It's a fancy set of buttons that I can program to do different things with software on my computer. So basically I linked that to a number of cameras. So I'll show you that here. Right now we're being filmed on my Sony, right? So I can go over here and I can go to the webcam on the articulating arm right now. And I'm still talking. It's been a seamless transition. I didn't stop the video, but now you're getting video from a different angle. You can kind of see up here the Sony camera was mounted over, and you're not viewing that anymore. But I can go switch right to it and still talk to you. One of the other cool things is I have a camera mounted in my CNC, right? Which is kind of away from my desk, so I can see what's going on, and I can manipulate the CNC from my workstation. I've got it set up too to be able to show the screen to the left of my primary monitor, and right now there's my CNC control software, and I can show CAD or like things like in topology or Fusion 360, and I can do like tutorials and stuff. One of the really cool things here is I can actually add my face or my Sony feed as picture-in-picture, so I can just seamlessly go through and explain what I'm doing and control it. The other thing that's really cool about this is I've got it to manipulate some of my hardware too. The Stream Deck macro pad basically, because I can go to here and I can go to CNC. So let's see, video. I'll go to my CNC cam. So that's my CNC. You just saw that. And then I'm going to go to my my controller here, and then now I've got actual full control over my my CNC machine, and I can actually see everything it does, and then broadcast it. And then I can literally just go, straight back into video. So it's really cool. It gives me a lot of really good options. I could even do a bunch of live streaming. But mainly what I do for this is you can literally just record right to your hard drive, which eliminates a lot of the problem with pulling an SD card and finding out what file. I just press record, and literally I just start recording from any of the various cameras that I have. So that's just a little taste of what I did. Like, I could get really in depth. I've been working on this thing for months, so there's a lot of software tricks and a lot of crazy things going on that I can bore you with. But I thought I'd give you a little bit of an overview of what's possible. I think it's definitely possible to do what I set out to do, which was to be able to do CAD, create videos, and kind of do it all really seamlessly from one spot, one workstation. So thanks for checking it out, and I'll post another video soon.